Alright guys, so today we're going to be checking out 7 awesome Minecraft seeds with the Flaming Lord flying over there randomly. And and basically, these seeds will progress from the worst to the best, so make sure to watch the full video. And also, these videos take a long time to make and search all the seeds, so please consider subscribing and liking. So as you can see, right next to spawn, there's this beautiful big lake in between these sort of mountain ranges with a small island in the center here. This water goes pretty deep, I think. There's also some caves, underwater caves down here. But, yeah, basically there's a tiny island and there's a giant island over here too. And in the middle of like this sort of like canyon water thing. I guess it would be very good to terraform if you want to make like a mega base sort of thing. And off to the left, if you want to see my chords, right here. Off to the left, there's a nice meadow, which not gradually actually, it sort of like bluntly gets cut off into this river, like going across with a village over here. This village, it's sort of in the water and on a stone shore, which is cool in my opinion, I guess. And if you follow this river, you see it like the mountains just start getting higher and higher, and it should continue into the ocean between these two cool sort of mountain things. Also, as you guys can see, next to this big island inside the lake, there's 2 azalea trees, which means there's a lush cave under. And for some reason, this azalea tree is literally floating inside another tree, which is really weird. Is the other one the same? Yeah, it is. They're literally just floating, like inside the other trees. Alright, so to discover the lush caves below, it's not too cool though. It's just little tiny squiggly tunnels of lush caves. It's not too impressive. At these coordinates, you can see that there is a big fat ruined big fat ruined portal, and behind this there's another sort of like lake that goes into, well, like this sort of gorge thing. Alright guys, and over here, right next to the big fat island over here, there's this sort of cool dripstone cave if you want some dripstone. It goes pretty deep, very long across here, so, well, if you want to harvest dripstone, I guess here's the place. And there's these sort of like spike formations with like a tiny little tree on this grass block. And back at the village, there is a pretty large plain with a ruined portal and lumpy mountain with like a gorge inside it. So it's like a old volcano or something. At these coordinates, there is another village on a stone shore. It's pretty cool in my opinion. It's like a stone village. Alright guys, so that's it for this seed. On to the next one. Alright guys, for this next seed, it's placed in a jungle, and there's a lot of stuff to cover in this one, as you can see the ginormous formations behind in the distance. So yeah, let's jump right in. Alright, so guys, starting from spawn right here, we go towards this massive ruined portal that looks really good. There's like all this overgrown stuff around it. It looks just amazing, I'd say, for natural generation, as you can see over here. And then off to the left, you can see these giant formations of like shattered jungle. And over here, there's a very large bamboo forest. So if you want tons and tons of bamboo forest, I don't know why, you can just check out the seed and get like yourself 20 billion stacks of bamboo or something. And over here, as you can see, there's a floating island with several pieces of bamboo. And if you guys want to check, the cores is around 211 up here, so not too high, but, well, it is pretty high for a floating island. And after this, there is also a pretty decent desert with like some gorges and stuff. But there's another giant formation that's half desert, half shattered savanna over here. If we head out here a bit faster. This one, it's a bit lower than the floating island. I think it's around 87. Alright guys, and the underground terrain for the seed is not too impressive, but there is some pretty big caves and some lush caves around here. But yeah, it's not too good for the seed. It's basically just pretty cool overworld generation. You literally spawn right next to a jungle edge, or what's it called now? Now it's called sparse jungle. They renamed it. But yeah, you spawn really close to one of those rare biomes. For some reason, they generate like not next to swamps anymore, like randomly. And over here, there's a nice village with one blacksmith, no, multiple, one blacksmith, and it's a pretty large plain if you want to build something pretty big. And there's another jungle, and that's about it for the seed. Let's go on to the next one. Alright guys, for this next seed, it isn't much for the seed, but there is some pretty cool underground generation. And also, if you'd like, there's also somewhat of a mountain over here behind me. Now let's hop into the clips. Well, that sounds really weird. So, as you guys can see, right next to spawn, there's an azalea tree, and right next to it, there is a very convenient access to the lush caves. So, this one's a pretty cool one, because it's like really right below the surface, so it's easy access, and it is pretty wide for a lush cave. There is some, so it sort of goes around under this sort of mountain, and well, watch out, there's a lava that sort of burns the lush cave. I turned off do fire tick at game mode because it was just burning itself up. There is a quite deep drop down here, and it re-exits into the overworld up here. And from the top, this is basically just a pretty big spruce mountain. A lot of giant spruce trees. If you really want to know the coordinates, it caps at 150, 145. Not too tall. Alright guys, so as you can see, under this mountain, there is a lot of lush caves. Literally, every cave is a lush cave. And look at this mega lush cave down here. So as you guys can see, this lush cave is only the top. Like, the bottom is just raw, deep slate stone stuff. It's only the top that's nice. Well, over here it starts getting to the bottom too, but yeah, that's pretty much the big lush cave. And it continues on for quite a bit. So it's a pretty good start if you want to make a sort of like a house inside a lush cave or something, or want like a sort of calm little hill as a mountain, I guess. But yeah, that's basically it for the seed. Let's hop on to the next one. Alright guys, for this next seed, it is a pretty wacky one, because there is not too much interesting generation, but there is some really wacky generation. So as you can see guys, straight from spawn, there's this interesting sort of blobby mountain generation. I don't know, it looks pretty vanilla-y to me. But over here to the right, there's a pretty massive ruin portal. We're getting really lucky with the massive ruin portals and these seeds. And over here in one of the chests, I'm pretty sure there's not too much good stuff, just some sweeping edge 3, blast protection, projectile protection. It's actually pretty decent. But yeah, the wacky thing about the seed though is that this plains biome goes on for 10,000 blocks. It is absolutely massive. You can literally build this gigantic seed, like gigantic base, like literally like 10,000 blocks wide. I don't know why you would do that. I guess for like a challenge sort of thing. But I guess you could, well, we're gonna see here. You see this plains basically borders, there's like a village right here too. This plains basically borders all around here. And literally, I'll speed up this clip because it's a pretty big biome. It borders in the ocean right here, and it goes around. There's pretty cool mountain generations with some meadows. And over here, there's a cool cave under here. But there's not really that much cool cave generation, just some normal old caves. That was pretty much summed up the seed. It wasn't too interesting, but from now on, the seeds are going to get more interesting, so stay tuned. Now for the next seed, this one is it's getting pretty interesting now. It's the second to last seed, so be sure to watch this one. Has a lot of interesting mountain generation. I haven't checked the cave, so I guess that would be like a surprise if it's good. But yeah, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so starting off right at spawn, there is this very huge stone shore and a jungle right next to it. Also some birch trees and a forest. And if you follow along this stone shore, you can see this how do you say it now? The sparse jungle. Ew. I already forgot the old names. Sparse jungle is what it's called now. Before it was called, oh, jungle edge, Right. So if you follow this stone shore, there's plains right over here, and across this sort of lake lagoon thing, you can see the stone shore sort of goes through the jungle, which is really weird. It just, for some reason, like, it's not really a shore, it's just going through jungle. Well, and if you follow it straight through this other sort of river, it goes onto this little jungle edge island. You continue following it. This is where it gets interesting. It gets sort of mountainy over here, and there's pretty big bamboo forest in the jungle. There's a dark oak forest on the high ground of this mountain, and the stone shore ends right here. There's some exposed iron, and here it's the start of a snowy mountain. I think it's snow-capped peaks, frozen peaks over there. There's a stony peaks across here, this sort of valley gorge thing. Yep, it's stony peaks. There's also a lot of exposed iron. If you haven't seen the new ore generation graph of this snapshot, 21W43A, oh wait, no, wasn't that the last snapshot? Anyways, there was a new ore generation graph, and iron generates higher up too sometimes. Alright, so back to the frozen peaks biome. You can see it's actually pretty big. Like, it actually stretches on for a long time here. There's this cool spruce grove here connected to the wooden forest, dark oak forest. It's sort of like a glaciers like everywhere and stuff. Like, and it's also very like peaky, like not really rounded tops. There's also a ice cave igloo thing close to the surface here, and you might think this is like maybe like if you visit the seed for the first time, it looks like the tallest mountain that you're gonna find on the seed. But if you continue over to the right, you can see across this valley another mountain, and there's a pretty big spike over here. So you could sort of make this interesting generation here. I think this one is this jagged peaks. So it's pretty big mountain generation. What does it cap off at? It caps off at 243, so it's pretty big. But that doesn't beat the next seed, which is a lot bigger. And it also is a cool, like, sort of valley here where you can sort of build like this base or like an artificial river. There's also a meadow here, so if you want to collect a bunch of flowers, you can get it from this meadow biome. Over here, there is a pretty big plains. You can build a cool basin. A bee nest there, down on that tree too. So the underground for this biome is a lot of dripstone caves here for some reason, like under the meadow. So right here, there is a pretty tall dripstone cave. I guess you can sort of make this spooky castle in here, and it goes on for quite a bit. So you can see it is really big, like all this water aquifers and peaks and stuff. I might turn my brightness down so it gets a cool feeling to it. Oh, that is really dark actually, but yeah, you can basically see that it goes for a really long time, so it's pretty good for like awesome like underground spooky castles. There's you see the entrance to this cave is right next to the meadow over here. Yep, that's basically it for this seed. Now on to the next seed, which is the final and really cool seed of the video. As you can see in the spawn of this world, you spawn in this savanna biome over here. There is a pretty big ocean right in front of you, and if you continue over to the left, there's some pretty interesting plain generation. There's a pretty cool plains sort of grove here where you can settle, and over here there's a higher, like a raised sort of savanna. like spike. And yep, it's basically some chill mountains over here. If you continue over here, there's it's basically a pretty big savanna biome with impressive caves over here. And right here, this is where it starts getting interesting. There's a eroded badlands biome, or eroded mesa if you prefer. And these spikes are pretty tall. I'm pretty sure they reach up to 130. So pretty tall. Now, it's like a sort of like, well, you can guess, like easy badlands find. And over here, you can see that sort of continues the eroded badlands. It is interesting, but there's not really any cool mountains and stuff. Like, why would you choose those seeds? I guess you could. It's probably tons of seeds with cool eroded badlands. Now, here's where it gets interesting. There is a pretty tall mountain right over here, but this is not what we're looking for. This is only 150. And if you continue, you can see the mountains, they get more frequent. And if we follow this sort of mountain range, you can see it sort of drops down here. So it drops down into this wooded badlands plateau. If we continue to the left of this wooded badlands plateau, back to the eroded badlands over here. You can check the chords right here. If we continue to the pretty tall mountain over here, almost 200. But if you continue over here in the east, you should find sort of like the sparse, not really interesting. But then over here, there's a gigantic mountain with like dripstone spikes, caves all around in the inside. And this mountain is really impressive because, wow, you can look at this view. It's just impressive. Put my render distance a bit higher. Holy crap, there we go. You can see it is a pretty impressive view from all the way up here. And if you want to see the mountain cap up here, it's around 256 blocks. So literally, it used to be, this is like the old, like spike again. This is the oldest. So what it used to be before 1.18, it was at 256. So it literally goes to the old world height limit, which is pretty impressive. And I guess you would really want to build a base all the way up here. It's hard for people to like get you. And inside this cave, as you can see, there's a lot of dripstone cave systems inside here. Like literally everywhere, like cross and like very, very deep down. There's even a dungeon down here. Let's hop out and get this. Interesting, and it's a skeleton spawner, so good if you want bones, I guess. So that's basically it for this seed, guys, and make sure to subscribe and like the video if you liked it to have more content. And yep, thank you for watching.